and move around.
Hello,
There.
curious ones. This is Vanessa Donaldson, the Reset Coach, doing another Building Bridges episode with Janet. I am living vicariously through her as she travels around the world pet sitting right now. But today, and as always, we're trying to just bring some value about transition, women in transition, military spouses specifically. I'm a Marine Corps spouse of 26 years. Janet was in law enforcement in Canada. So together, we've got a few decades of experience that we want to share. Oh, and there's someone being fit right. Oh, look at all those bike riders behind you. What are you at the Tour de
I,
France?
no, I'm on the dock, historic dock of Gloucester,
Oh my
Gloucester,
goodness.
UK.
Okay, yes, in the UK.
Yeah. But look,
Beautiful.
look, canal boats. I don't know whether you can see them. Like
Sometimes when you
there's
swing,
one right.
yeah. Yeah, these are all houseboats. So Um, today, just to give a little context, we're just going to talk about new things, old is new, new is old, that kind of theme. So yeah, back to those houseboats. So people are living on those boats.
Yeah, they're canal boats so that they go up and down the canals. So and people refurbish them. So we met a man today at the docks, and he's done like for the last since 2000, I don't know, they refurbished a canal boat, and they live on it full time now. And so they took us for a tour. This is just standing reading something. He came up and started explaining stuff, said that's his boat, unless as we were just talking about it. And he says, well, do you want to have a look? And took us on, met his wife, and they used to have an Airbnb. Now they do this full time. They have a blog. Like, and then he walked us around this whole area. And these are the old docks of Gloucester or Gloucester. We always say it wrong. And so we've been walking around all day today, looking at all these sites. But when you get somebody who's living here explaining it, and he's a volunteer, he's the neighborhood watch, and he just explains so much to us. But all this, I did this over here. You can see this old building over here. Further down's an old abbey. Like, 100 years ago, nobody wanted to live down in this area because it was like quite a crazy place to live. But the ships couldn't come in all the way up into the interior part here, and they used to unload the ships and bring in the cargo on the canals.
That's
So now,
amazing.
yeah, now
Yeah.
they don't have to do that, and they have other ways. So now they refurbish some of this stuff, and they use them as boats. They use them for history. They use them for, like, down further. I showed you earlier is a lighthouse boat. I don't know. Can you see it? The lighthouse
Yeah,
boat.
yeah, I saw it closer, so I know I can, it sticks out for me, the
Yeah.
red. Yeah, well, don't you love volunteers? Like, what would life be without
Oh,
service and volunteers? Like, if this gentleman had not been open to just
yeah.
approach you, uninhibited, not thinking in his head too much, who are these people? Are they going to hurt me? I've got hypervigilant patients or patients, clients who might be just
Yeah.
like thinking the worst of anybody approaching them. But, you're open. And because I think you have such a giving heart of service, you attract that. And I feel the same thing. We go places and we get in the most incredible situations. And I'm like, my daughter had graduated from college and somebody gifted us their home in Florida to do a little quick trip. And then she sends me a text message, here's the gate codes, the keys. Oh, and drive our car. Don't worry about renting a car. And people are like, who are these people? Who does that? And I said, well, we ran a boating ministry. We took out so many people for boat rides, complimentary for, marginalized groups. And you give and it comes back tenfold. So here you are, you're a giving person. And of course, someone walks up to you in Gloucester. It makes total sense to me that he approaches you and says, get on for a tour. So where did you go? Around the canal a little bit, for about an hour or 15 minutes or?
Well, we walked into town. There's a church, and people who travel, you can do things inexpensive. So we stopped at a church, St. Mary's in the crypt, and it was the first school for kids. that was bequeathed in the 1500s, and the first Sunday school. And but they have in the schoolroom now, that was the old schoolroom, they have a coffee shop. So, for £2, we could each £2 each, we could have a wonderful cappuccino, and it helps support the church and all that's there. And so we went back there. We were there the other day and took pictures. We went to the cathedral. So if anybody has seen Harry Potter, you will recognize this spot.
My kids are Harry Potter fans.
Gloucester Cathedral is where they filmed a lot of it. So, history, and you take that old, which is fascinating to us now, and books like Pillars of the Earth that talks about the building of the cathedrals of the world and the measurements and stuff. Like, I don't know, I'm a history buff anyways, but just to see how people built it without all the machinery that we have, they built it all by hand.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah. So the old and new. So now you're talking about, history. You're talking about all that is older but so valuable, and you're dipping into it. You've left Canada. I'm in the US right now. I mean, they say the US compared to Europe, like, is still very young, right? So there's a different sense, a different vibe between the old and the new. And
yeah,
you're just in a space of, old is like even not even the right word. It's like it's more magical than old. I don't know. We have to research what another word for old is, because in our culture, old means like dead, used up, throw it out. But this is not the kind of old we're talking about. We're talking about another kind of old that lifts your spirit, that energizes you, that connects us from the present to the past, that explains where people have come from and where they're going. It gives us value. It gives us hope, encouragement, and it makes me want to get on a plane and to get where you are. So yeah, that's the kind of old we're talking about. And not like anything is wrong with the new either. It's just different. Everything in America, when people come here, it's like the new world, and everything is techie and just high speed. But I don't know, I haven't been to Asia except once through Japan, and they're even techier than the US, I guess. So, but yeah, different kinds of old, but cherishing that old, and hanging on to it, and creating space and making time to get to know the old a little better, right? To
well,
connect us to now.
and here in Europe, they're transforming the old. They're keeping the facade of the old and the history of it, and they make it more modern inside. The Airbnb we're staying was the judge's court, and they've made it into apartments and the Airbnb, but they left the stairways in. So we got a stairway in our Airbnb that, of course, is closed off, but it's kept that, and it's across from a park. But you know what? We can do that to our lives. Like, Les and I have been married for 50 years. He was 28 years in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We moved a lot. So each time you change a little bit. So that's our history. But we keep that history, and we continue to make new memories and stuff. And although there's sometimes trauma in our history and stuff, it can be transformed. Just like old buildings,
so true.
like old abbeys and stuff. Like the transformation here from Catholicism to the Church of England was a traumatic time, but it's left so much history. Lots was destroyed, but we don't have to destroy. We don't have to destroy our lives because trauma happened. We can transform our lives, just like this stuff, old can be transformed.
I love it. Old transformed to new, and being married over 50 plus years. Kudos to you. I'm about halfway there. We're at the 26-year mark this year. But same thing. It's transformed, and like we add on. I look at it as an add-on every year. It's like another icing on the cake. Every year we make it more, and we create more memories, and we have our little, drama issues here and there, like anybody in any relationship, but we work through it, and we add on. We keep adding, building bridges, building on to our relationship, And yeah, it's a constant transformation. I thought I knew what love was. That's a whole other topic, but I thought I knew what love was in my 20s when I met my, Marine in the middle of the Sahel Desert in Africa, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I was just all googly gaga when I finally decided to let him have a kiss after like 4 months of hanging out. That's how slow I moved. But I thought I knew what love was, just in the passion of a kiss. And over time, yeah, between childbirth and moving and getting old and the gray hair and everything that goes along with aging, it's like, wow, that was like the tip of the iceberg of love. But now the love every year that we're together and that we overcome trials together, it's just a deeper and deeper agape love. And they say even in death, right, if one spouse goes before the other and they've been really connected, the other one it can has it has happened that the other spouse will follow right after into the afterlife because they are just so connected, body, soul, mind, spirit. Do you and Les have like finish each other's thoughts? One speaks and then you finish the sentence like you already know where they're going. Does that happen with you guys?
Sure. Do we finish each other's sentence?
No, we don't finish them. No, we start each other's.
I love that.
But we do always think like that. I'll say something and he says, I was just thinking about that. And, that's because we've been together so long. And now with traveling and that, let's go see this or let's go see that.
Well, it's okay. I talked to the skipper of the Sula.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He and his wife and the girlfriend were going off for coffee. They're the ones that walked by the 3 dogs.
Oh, okay.
So they got treats.
Oh, he's carrying dog treats with him now because when we're walking, there's so many dogs. So he went bought dog treats so we could have dog treats for the dogs. So, and
that's another good point. About the dogs,
and
Janet, I would say like dog connections are like huge. When I don't know if I mentioned this in another podcast, when we travel without our dogs, it's a different vibe. Like people might just walk by, the eyes are, straight down, they're not looking at you. And then you bring a dog in that makes a little chihuahua, 4 pound, and our little pug. And all of a sudden, all this new life comes. Oh, what's your dog's name? Oh, so cute. And it opens up conversations. We have been invited to people's homes. We've been invited to camp out on people's properties, all because of leading with the dogs. Not like we're doing it intentionally, but look, he's there with treats now. You're gonna know that whole strip by the end of this conversation, the way you two have been walking around, and now you got dog treats to pass out. Too funny.
And you know what? Like Les is 75, I'm 69. Traveling and walking around just to see. We got on a bus the other day. We got a day pass, and we took the train from Cheltenham, which 10-minute ride by train into Gloucester, got on a bus, saw all the countryside. It was a double decker. So we got at the top right in the window for a bus ride. And then we found out we were going back to Cheltenham, got to see all different area that we hadn't seen in Cheltenham, came back here, got on the train and went back to Cheltenham. It's like cheap travel, right?
Yes, let's go into that again. Now, we talked about living on a budget, traveling to Europe on a budget. People just think and immediately the limited mindset, thinking like, oh, it's going to be so expensive. Well, how are we going to afford this? And then you get places and you look for deals. Like we look for resources. When we've traveled our whole life, we don't have to go to the five-star Ritz to sit and have a meal. You go to the little mom and pop corner shop in the corner, and then you get integrated with the community as well. You see a different side of things. But it's so true. I mean, doing the van life has taught us that as well. Living the military lifestyle, moving around, like there's so much we can do, not on a dime, but definitely without spending. I mean, my husband the other day went to the store. We're still in California, and he went to a local like Persian Middle Eastern market or something in in the middle of Mission Viejo, California. And he came back. He was so proud of that bill. It was like, honey, I got all this food for under $100, and he got big bushels of vegetables and everything that we needed for our meal plus some for the week. And he was holding up spices. This spice thing was only 70 cents. Do you know how much this is at this store or that store? And I'm like, good job, honey. So yeah, you look a little and you find deals that are out there. So it can happen. You just have to be creative, and it's a different setting than going into like a regular little Ralph's or Safeway or Publix or whatever, but that's the fun part. I've been with him too there before, and they're playing Middle Eastern music. You know, we have a place in Florida, they play little Cuban music in the background and get foods that you don't usually get in the US. So, but if you can
Yeah.
find deals in your groceries and your touring, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. You can go see the world, go see your environment.
Well, yeah, and traveling by bus or train, and we we traveled bus, train, and what is it that movie that was Plane, Trains, and Automobiles? Well, watch for my newsletter. It's going to be trains, planes, automobiles, and most of all, people.
Oh, you're right, most of all people. Well, on that note, I want to make sure you get back to your hubby and get on with your afternoon. I know you have some calls later too, but yeah, transforming from old to new, and it's just an amazing, you can feel the energy, you can feel the life out there, and I'm just so grateful that I could be in your space for a few minutes. We're on a totally different time zone right now, but hey, it still works. All this was Zoom. Any last
That,
parting thoughts for our guest today that we want to share with, to give them some hope and encouragement? Women of military, you know, women that are military spouses, a retired military community, law enforcement. What do we want to share? What do we want to end with?
if you can dream it, do it. And the thing is I start as young, when the young kids, I used to say we can't afford. Now I don't say that. I say, how can we afford? And that's the biggest thing. Change your narrative. And then things happen. You open that door, you take that step, and you never know. Like today, if we hadn't been looking at that historical thing, that guy may not have walked over and we wouldn't have had this wonderful afternoon.
Beautiful. So change the narrative, not I can't afford, but how can I make that happen? And
Yeah.
dream. Yeah, I always say
Yeah.
dream your way to reality. Make your reality, dream your way to reality. You can do it. So thank you so much for joining. And how can people reach you on social media if people want to follow uh, Janet with
Link.
her Where's Waldo lifestyle?
You can reach me through LinkedIn, PM me, or Facebook. I'm on both. So I'm happy to talk to anybody and share.
Okay, and Janet is spelled Janet, Wiszowaty, Wiszowaty. Yeah, thank God for that. that little what's it called? Cheat sheet they have on Zoom down below. So another episode, and thank you all for joining. I'm Vanessa, the Reset Coach. I'm helping women over 40, but you know, any age, reset your quarter, your season, you know, your life, whatever it is that you're stuck in, you can reset it. It just starts with the mindset and maybe a cheerleaders like us to spur you on. So my QR code is there, but you can reach me at info@resetwithvanessa.com, and we will catch you on another episode of Building Bridges. Thanks. Bye.
Bye from Gloucester.